Thank you, Mr. Johnson. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Moore, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Director Peters, thank you for being here today. And, as a Christian, I know a lot of times we live under grace and we certainly need forgiveness. And I don't think there's an exemption for prisoners. I think people who are incarcerated also need second chances. I'm a proponent of that. And in Alabama, we have an amazing prison system. And one of them specifically is J.F. Ingram, where they actually bring the incarcerated individuals over to a college next door. And they do this, certain individuals are picked out, and then they train them in skills. And so some are certified welders when they come out. Some are body people. Some can do cosmetics, all kind of neat stuff. And we've learned that the recidivism rate is so much lower coming out of J.F. Ingram right now than any system in Alabama. And so I'd encourage you to look at the model there for what they do. You actually, as a business owner, people come to me all the time looking for jobs. And so if I got an individual that walks in that's been incarcerated, but he actually can lay a bead on a welder, I may not start him at the same pay rate that I would somebody who has a clean record, so to speak. But at the same time, I'll start him a little lower maybe, or him or her, depending on what, like Sue Nails maybe comes in looking for a job. But the point of the matter is that if they have a skill set, we can put them in the workforce. And they don't go back to the same old, same old. They don't go back to the same group of people, the same group of people that they were running with prior to being incarcerated. And so we found that recidivism rates have dropped dramatically. And so I'm working on legislation now with actually it's bipartisan legislation with a member of Tron. And we're looking at the ID coming out of prison for somebody to get an ID. And this is not for anybody who is illegal. They have to be U.S. citizens. I have to remind my friends they have to be U.S. citizens. But we would certainly appreciate your support. And are you aware of that we're working to try to get an ID issued by the federal prison system so when people come out that if they go for a job, and this is not something to vote with anything like that, but if they go for a job or if they have to get housing, sometimes they have an ID, we think this is one way to help recidivism, and I think it's something we need to look at. Are you aware of that program and what we're doing?
Congressman, I am, and I've had this conversation with Congressman Trone. You'll be pleased to know that we piloted an ID program, and it was successful, so we're now rolling it out to all of our institutions. So beginning at the top of next year, everyone leaving our custody will leave with an ID issued by the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Where we need your help is states accepting them. So right now we have about 15 or 16 states that say that they'll accept them at the Department of Motor Vehicles, but only 16. So any help you can give there would be tremendously, we'd be filled with gratitude.
And to me, this is a fiscal conservative issue in a sense that if what are we paying per prisoner now to house them in the federal prisons annually for an individual?
On a daily rate, I think that average is about $122 a day.
Gotcha. So for every individual that we can get into the workforce, into society, working and producing, I think that's a long-term win for the American people, certainly for society and communities. And so we'll be working with you on that issue. But again, I would encourage you to check into J.F. Ingram. What they're doing there is, and listen, I'm as conservative and I'm hard on crime as anybody, but I understand grace as well. And there are people who get into that system. Sometimes they just need opportunities. If we can train them and get them with a skill set into society, I think we as America will benefit, communities will benefit, certainly society will benefit. And so thank you for being here today and look forward to working with you on that legislation. And with that, Madam Chairman, I'll yield back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr.